Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is a very exciting day because we are starting a new series on this channel. Now, I don't know what to call it yet, so maybe you guys can leave some suggestions in the comments. But it is basically my attempt at making crafting accessible to you. Whether you are a mom who just feels like she can't fit any single hobby into her day, or maybe you just are quite intimidated by a new project. Well, me too, to all of the above. And so I thought it might be nice to take you along my journey of prioritizing crafts, which I absolutely love to do, and maybe teach you some tips and tricks on the way. So to start off the series, we are going to be making a Linocut print tablecloth. Now, I don't know if you can see right here behind me, but my husband and I recently got a new table, a new dining room table. We used to have a little bar stool slash kitchen island setup, and it wasn't that nice to have dinner around, so we just thought let's rather invest in a big dining room table. We can sit around as a family and have dinner, but more importantly, we can have more space to host people. One of my goals this year is to host more people in our home, and what does every hostess need? A tablecloth. So I did Linocut in school during art, and I also did it in college, and I loved how easy it was but how impactful the print was once you were done with it. And so I just thought having a tablecloth made from Linocut prints might be a really fun idea. It's easy to do but can create a big impact on your table. Okay, so the first step in every good project is to dream, to get excited about what you are making. Maybe start off with, when you have people over, what do you want them to feel, or what do you want them to experience? So for me, I want people to feel like they are on a little holiday, a little getaway when they come over to our place, that they've escaped real life and that they can just have a great time with friends and family. If you're having a little bit of trouble thinking about this and it feels a bit too abstract, then I would suggest starting with visuals. So head on over to Pinterest. If you already have a Pinterest account, then I would suggest just even having a look at your home page. You know, this is a lot of stuff that you gravitate towards anyways, and so I feel like that is a good starting place for any of your creative juices to flow from. So already here on my home page, I can see a lot of color, a lot of Mediterranean inspired designs, and I think that is what I'm going to gravitate towards, a Mediterranean summer. So as you can see here, I've already pinned some inspiration. I'm thinking lobsters, I'm thinking lemons, I'm thinking greenery and sardines and colorful plates and all the things that you could find on a Mediterranean holiday spread. So once you've got a good idea of what you want to do, then I would suggest trying to simplify the designs as much as possible, as this will make it a lot easier to cut on your lino. Either save some actual designs that you want to create, or maybe save some designs that you know that you can easily simplify by tracing over. So now that we know what we want to do, let's head over and start tracing. So right now I'm just screen grabbing the designs that I want, and I'm actually going to be tracing over my iPad screen. Yes, it is much easier to trace over a printed piece of paper, but I don't have a printer, so we're just going to make do with what we've got and use the iPad screen. If you found something on Pinterest that sparks an idea but isn't exactly what you're looking for, you can always just Google search it as well, so you can find some more images over there. Once you've got all of your screenshots, something that I like to do is I actually like to go into the image and then select slideshow mode. This just makes it so that the image doesn't move around or zoom in or out or whatever when you've got your hand over the screen while you're tracing. Then I'm just grabbing the tracing paper. What I like to do is actually just stick it down, just because the surface of the iPad is quite slippery, so it just helps it not move as much. Then I'm simply just taking a pencil and tracing over the design. Okay, next let's talk about lino and the tools that you're going to need. So you can find lino at any arts and crafts store. They are pretty affordable and they come in different sizes as well, which comes in really handy. So there are so many tools that you can get for cutting lino, but I found that you only need about 2 or 3 to get you most places. So I'd say that the tool that I use the most is this arched carving tool. It's just a simple carving tool that you can carve most things with. Another tool that I'd say is quite handy for more detailed work is this more V-shaped carving tool. So these two are pretty much all that I use. You can also maybe get a little poker, which you can make little holes and stuff with, but I would say it's not really necessary. Okay, so now that we have our traces done, let's transfer it onto the lino and start carving. So there are many ways to transfer your trace onto a lino, but I find this the easiest way if you don't have a lot of other tools with you and you are just starting out. So what you're going to do is simply flip your design so that the side that has the pencil markings of your trace is on the underside and it is on top of the Linocut. And then just make sure that you have a sharp pencil, and then what you're going to do is rub your pencil over all of the markings. This basically pushes your tracing markings onto the lino. Just make sure that you hold the tracing paper down flat so that your markings stay in the same place. Okay, it's a new day. I've got an ice cold drink over here. My baby is currently at my sister-in-law's, and so all of that means that it is time to start lino cutting. So right now we've got our tracing on our Linocut. You probably can't see it on the camera because it is so faint. And so I'm actually going to go in with a permanent marker to outline everything and just make it a lot more prominent so it's much easier to see when I'm cutting. This is the part that I love. I find it so therapeutic just to do the same thing over and over, just carving out, carving away, listening to some music or listening to a podcast. It's just really relaxing. So I'm going to go ahead and start with those outlines, and then we're going to get straight into the cutting. Okay, so I've finished outlining all of my designs. I actually bought the wrong marker. This is more of like a fine point pen, and I was wanting more of like a thick permanent marker. So it didn't come out as well as I'd wanted it to. The pen often lost its ink while I was trying to trace, so it wasn't ideal. If you are doing this at home, I would definitely suggest getting a proper thick marker. But it did kind of like indent the lino as I was going, so it's okay, I can still see what I'm doing. So now that we are all done with the tracing, let's get into the cutting. When you're carving Linocut, it is a good idea to go in small bits at a time. You also want to always try carve away from your drawing. This is because it is quite easy to slip while you're trying to carve, and if you slip into your drawing, then you'll be going into the part that you actually want raised, and that will distort your final print. But in saying this, if you do by mistake carve into your raised area, it is not a problem. You can always just go ahead and paint into that spot after you've made your print. You'll see here that I've carved a small amount around my entire design. You don't need to carve out the whole exterior part, as you can simply just cut out your design from your lino. Okay, I'm so happy that I finished this design just in time to go pick up my son at my sister-in-law's. I've just got to do the other three now, but I'm gonna have to do that during the week sometime, maybe during naps and stuff. So yeah, we'll see how much we can get done, but I'm hoping that I can get it all done before the weekend, because then I can start hosting people. So yeah, see you on another day. Okay, we are on the last and final day, hopefully, of this tablecloth craft, which is the painting day. So what I've done already is just done a test print of the lino on just some scrap pieces of paper, just to see and make sure that I've got everything that I want to, and that I have carved out everything that I don't want to. So you can see here with the lobster design, there are quite a few lines coming through from the background that I actually don't want. So I've gone ahead and carved that out a little bit more. Some little lines like the one over here for the little leaf design, I don't mind that too much. I like the bit of character that a few imperfections give. So I would suggest doing a test print of all your designs just to make sure, and then we can get right on in and paint on the actual tablecloth. So what I've done is just set up my tablecloth across my whole dining room table. Just make sure you place some plastic underneath whatever you're painting, just so that there's no transfer of paint onto your table or anything like that. Then I've just set up a little paint station on the floor over there, and that will just be me rolling out the paint onto the lino, and then we can transfer it onto the tablecloth. So when going ahead, I would suggest doing one print at a time. So let's say we choose the lobster print and we are going to make its placements wherever we want it, just so that you use the same paint over and over. You don't have to keep washing your equipment, and it just goes a lot smoother that way. Okay, so I'm so excited to get straight in. Let's go! So here I'm just using a bunch of scrap pieces of cardboard to put the paint on and to mix it. I find that a thicker corrugated cardboard allows for a good give when you're rolling your foam roller back and forth on it. So you can see here that I'm just using my foam roller to create a thin, even layer of paint that I can then transfer onto the Linocut. With these designs that I'm using two colors for, I'm just being a bit more careful where I place certain colors, but if I do mess up, then I can always just take some tissue paper and wipe it off. For the thin plate around the lobster, I found it easier actually just to use a paintbrush, and I just made sure that the paint layer that I was painting on was nice and even. When placing down the design onto the tablecloth, you just want to make sure that you don't move it around too much and that you place it down firmly, placing your hands down quite hard around the whole design. When figuring out the placement of your first design, you just want there to be enough space between for your other designs, but to also be evenly spread out. This is a reminder that if you've used a different color to test print your lino, then be sure to wash your lino before you use especially a lighter color, because then this happens. So I'm gonna have to paint over this with a bit of yellow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did filming it. If you tried this tablecloth lino craft at home, please do share some pictures. I would love to see. See you then. Bye.